Thanks for everyone who has joined. My name is Pratik. I'm your host. Really appreciate everyone's time. I know taking time out to attend these webinars is not easy. So I want to welcome you to our topic around revenue intelligence and how do we create value. I think for a lot of the folks who are joining in, they may be familiar with revenue intelligence, but revenue intelligence is used so much. And I think when we get into the Q&A, would love to get some feedback. But to me, revenue intelligence is about how do you monetize your data to maximize revenue. That's all it is, right? There's so many terms around sales and marketing alignment, around revenue recognition, around compliance, but I think it's all about monetizing your own data across your systems, sales, marketing, revenue recognition, products. So that's what we are going to talk about. So if you don't mind, Rahul, going to the agenda. So there are a lot of webinars where we will be talking and doing Q&A. But I think what is really important for us is we'll be spending quality time for at least 20 minutes to log into a system, show you end-to-end how best-in-class companies are actually monetizing and leveraging their own sales, marketing, booking, financial data across the organization. So there is a very critical demo that our team has put together that will be going. And then obviously, looking at the participants, we have some really interesting questions that have been sent to me already. So I'll go through that, as well as I welcome a lot of Q&A. And we made this as a regular Zoom meeting because we didn't want to restrict people. So definitely, once we are done with the presentation and the demo, please feel free to unmute yourself, come on camera, and make it as interactive as possible. So with that, I will do some introductions about our panelists today. So my name is Pratik. I lead the consulting team at Brillio. We are a venture capital company, and we focus on transformation, mostly sales and finance transformation. And I'm happy to share more insights about how we've been partnering with really successful product companies like Ayara and NextQuarter in adding value to some of our joint clients. With that, I'll let Satish talk about his role, and then maybe Rahul. So Satish, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Pratik. I'm Satish Padala. I'm a product lead at Ayara, which is a RevOps and revenue recognition company. Prior to this, I worked with Aptus, Conga, now Zora, and few other startups in the AML space, specializing in code to cash, especially around RevOps and revenue recognition. Over to you, Rahul.
Yeah, thank you. Excited to speak to everyone here. My name is Rahul Shah. I'm based out of the DC metro area. I'm the CEO at NextQuarter. At NextQuarter, we've a set of very interesting offerings that traverses between sales ops, and finance with a view of holistic end-to-end revenue management. Prior to my career here at NextQuarter, I was a CFO and also led RevOps for large enterprises, over 5 billion in revenue, and have 20 years of experiences working in the corporate world. And what really contributed to my starting NextQuarter is the pain point I saw between sales and finance teams. So very happy to discuss that in more detail, and also look at how companies can really build the revenue intelligence culture across all the operating teams.
Thank you, Rahul. It's very interesting. We have a sales leader like me. We have a product leader like Satish, and we have an executive CEO who was a CFO. So a lot of different points of views. I'm sure we'll have a very interesting session. Thank you. So what is culture? I think for us, culture is a lot to do with process and how you're making things effective. But I think, as I mentioned, right, for me, the definition of revenue intelligence is about all your operational data, your order management, your pricing, your quotes, I think monetizing that data that you already have to maximize your revenue, and obviously through that maximizing your margin, requires cross-functional collaboration. And that is what we are going to be talking about in our webinar. We'll also be doing a very end-to-end detailed demo about how everything comes together. But this is what we mean from a culture perspective, which is we have sales operations and finance operations, and that essentially has a siloed view. If you talk to them individually on pipeline and deals, and finance is more focused on revenue realized and FP&A planning. But when it comes all together, you can get a really holistic view and look at how companies are getting best-in-class solutions to do that. And obviously, the impact of doing that not only helps you in improving your and maximizing your revenue, but prevents revenue leakage, especially given 2023 and the focus on margin and being profitable is so key. It gives you very good insights, and then allows real-time analysis, what-if analysis of your forecast versus actuals, right? So that is what our culture and what we're going to talk about today. So with that, I'll let Rahul kind of take us through the first part of our presentation, which will be around 15 to 20 minutes. And Satish will share some of his insights too. And then we will probably be doing an actual product demo 20 minutes from now. So Rahul, I'll let you share some of your insights. Thank you. And then Satish, appreciate your inputs too.
Yeah, I think in this persona slide, you see that enabling this cross-functional collaboration across the motion of a company, which is from strategizing to execution and prediction, is where we feel these personas can collaborate together. So in our mind, when we think of the strategized motion, it's more around how do we go after the right accounts, be it account segmentation, account planning. And we see here mostly the sales persona is the one that's involved, sales leadership, sales personas, and overall the management is also involved. And the key value we want to drive out of this is how do you basically drive, more revenue from your install base, and of course plan for how you can also bring in revenue from new logos in a very strategic manner. With that, once you've identified the opportunities, you've done a good account plan, we come to revenue intelligence in the true sense, where what you're trying to do is accelerate your sales motion. This is where we see the introduction of personas like sales continuing to prosecute those opportunities more from a rep perspective, and then rev ops and sales ops coming in here to see how they can give the insights and intelligence back to salespeople, be it in terms of triangulation of forecasts or better insights into the pipeline, and things like opportunity scoring to give you those opportunity level insights. From an execution perspective, once we are able to build this culture of revenue intelligence from a sales motion perspective, that's when we see this handoff happening to the finance persona. So finance predominantly is looking at not only the new revenue that's going to come from the pipeline, which is where sales ops collaborates with them intimately, but then also what is the revenue from what's already been booked as the backlog, understanding the revenue recognition and accurately predicting what's going to come from my backlog of existing revenue, and then leveraging the work that sales has done to also get the new business revenue is really where we think that predict motion happens. And this is where finance personas like FP&A and the controllers organization get involved. And I think the value that we can bring with a tighter motion between sales, rev ops, and finance is the ability for them to really get the most real-time data as possible and avoid duplication of work. And at the end of that, if you have a seamless process, we feel the customer is delighted and they're not seeing inefficiencies in the process. The organization itself is able to minimize and improve their productivity and minimize any revenue leakage. So that's from there, we move on to a little bit of what we're seeing as top of the mind challenges across sales and finance. Many CFOs that I talk to and From the studies we've seen, real-time revenue forecasting is one of the most important things, especially given the economic situation over the last 2 years with all the uncertainty. Having a pulse on where your revenue is going to be in real time really helps the organization make better decisions around what type of investments you want to make, right? What type of cost can we afford? And then from a perspective of certain industries, that longer term forecast visibility also plays into that, because for certain industries where they're looking at long range planning, it's really important to not only see that short term revenue, but align on what the revenue is going to be beyond the 12 months. And where I see a lot of the FP&A teams getting involved with the CFO is doing the what if scenario planning, constructing, what happens if our revenue is going through different scenarios, what kind of cost takeout we want to do, and what kind of investment decisions we want to make. As it comes to sales, what we've seen is, we have almost 3x the amount of time that is spent on deals that never close. So having a revenue intelligence culture really is important to make sure that your sales team is efficient, it's focusing on the right opportunities. The other thing we've seen is, this whole upsell, cross-sell. In this environment, again, it's easier to set a motion of upsell and cross-sell and get more from your existing clients and really avoid churn. So those are some of the impacts that we see across the sales and finance persona. And I'm going to hand it over to Satish now in terms of how our joint solutions can help mitigate some of these challenges.
Thanks, Rahul. So here is what the total end-to-end revenue management solutions look like, right, along with NextQuarter and Ayara. If you look at, as Rahul previously talked about different personas, what they would be doing across revenue management lifecycle. It all starts with your sales reps, sales leaders, looking into opportunities, leads, and all. Once you qualify an opportunity, that's when your forecasting would start. Typically, most of the companies would start looking at their forecasting at an opportunity level, which is very basic. There's a reasonable probability of that getting into a quote and to a booking space. But that is where you will have some initial forecasting coming in. And FP&A can take that, apply their own confidence level on top of it and report that. So once you have this done, the initial part of your sales cycle and the pipeline forecasting and FP&A, Ayara really comes into picture when this opportunity, which is matured at a decent level, into a quote. Now, once a quote is done today, there are almost very few or no tool in the market that can really give you a forecasting based upon ASC 606 principles, right? So a lot of RevOps roles or finance people would download their core data into an Excel sheet, work on their revenue forecasting based upon their rules and logic in an Excel, and then forecast it. With Ayara, what we did is, once a quote is done, you can actually get your revenue forecasting with all the allocations based upon complex allocation rules, standard on selling price, and all that works in the back end, our revenue engine, and gives you all the forecasts for every quote line on the quote itself. You will get your gross margin, allocated margin, and what we call as a guardrails for revenue. We have put a guardrail saying that, hey, how are you doing on the discount? How are you doing on your margins? How are you doing on an overall deal? So that the traffic lights, what we are going to show in our demo, will tell your sales team, hey, you are given a deep discount, your deal is in problem because it's in red or orange, your finance might reject it, or finance might get some alert saying that, hey, your margins are getting impacted because of some steep discounts and all, right? That's why we are driving a collaboration between sales ops and finance teams with a unified data model that spans across sales and revenue, that gives a real picture about your deals, where they are, and how you can maximize the margin, at the same time giving the best discount possible for your product to your customers. Right, and that's where all these personas would take over, from opportunity to quote to order. Once the order is booked, Ayara can create revenue agreement, actual revenue agreement for the bookings, then you can go on doing your revenue recognition. At the same time, it will continue to forecast and compare forecast to actuals. There could be some contract amendments in between for your cross-sells, upsells, cancellations, and all. For each of these contract amendments, we would again come back from if there's an opportunity or quote all the way to revenue contract. And with all the functionality coming in, we are seamlessly integrated with Salesforce and Conga ecosystem on the Salesforce App Exchange and also on the Oracle Cloud. So that independent of the CRM or the CPQ system what you use, our solution can work seamlessly with any of the best-in-class products that's available in the market today. Next slide. Yeah, these are some of the things what we have seen consistently that customers are getting the results out of our solution, right? First thing is, they'll come out of this Excel number crunching, right? You don't need to really do all this downloads into Excel, crunch with your numbers to really get some intelligent insights about your sales, revenue forecasting, revenue recognition, automation, and other, right? And more importantly, not just eliminating your Excel sheets, it's also data driven, right? So revenue is all about data. What is your forecast versus actuals? And most of the users want to see, hey, where is my problem area? I want to focus on that. Or you are giving intelligent insights to your customers where they can really see where my revenue is doing well, where my forecast is falling apart, all those things with help of all the latest and greatest in AI algorithms and others, right? And also, because we are using ASC 606 rules ahead of time at the court level itself, finance will have very less issues to deal with when the order is booked because they have very few surprises. With our revenue guardrails, your margins are protected, your discounts are within the range what you're looking at. At the same time, you can do what if analysis for the pipeline deals with, hey, my sales guy has given 50% discount. What happens if I make it 45, 40? How I'm getting my margins, or my sales guy is telling that 50 is not enough. I need to give it 55 or 60. How I'm doing margins, all those what if revenue modeling, cost modeling, and all is possible with the solutions. And also, you can create demand with accounting insights, white space analysis, and all with all the account management capabilities of NextQuarter. With all these things, what are the key results that customers can expect? Faster closing of deals, right? Because you've got this revenue guardrails. You don't need to go back and forth between sales and finance. You're 26% faster, closer in deal cycle, and also your win rate, because you are closing your deals faster, and you're also maximizing on your customer discounts and margin, right? You have a higher win rate now because of this. At the same time, your customer retention, customer satisfaction is also good, because you don't need to promise one thing to customer, go back to your finance and it gets rejected, then rework the numbers and go back to customer. You don't need to do that today, right? More importantly, you'll get a very good accurate forecast, because at every point in the sales cycle and the quote cycle, we are refining the forecast as you manipulate your numbers to give the best discount and price for your customer. And also, because we are applying ASC 606 rules, it will be highly accurate than your traditional forecasting from just pipeline, right? And also, there'll be a lot of time saving, obviously, for your sales teams and finance teams. Most of these things are automated, and there are a lot of guardrails, checks and balances and mechanisms in place, so that they have at least 20% more time to close better deals from here, right? So that's what key takeaways from the solution. Now I hand it over to Pratik to conclude on the insights.
Absolutely. Great insights, Satish and Rahul. We'll be now showing you an actual system demo where we will go end to end, and from account planning to sales forecasting to revenue forecasting, and then revenue recognition. Will go through the entire life cycle. But I think just to conclude, since the topic is about culture, solutions and technology is one dimension, but people and process are also critical. So aligning your goals, figuring out the course of action, and then essentially measuring is really critical. But it's good to know as you are embarking on this journey, as you are looking at your sales, marketing, finance data, there are solutions out there. And we as a team can come together to develop the process and the people so that the culture that is required to make you successful is all built out. So with that, I will let the team now show you a demo. I think the demo will be for 20 minutes, and then we'll have around 15 minutes left for Q&A. And after that, if anything is required, we can obviously have a follow-up meeting separately. And we'll also make the recording available to everyone who has registered. So with that, let's go through the demo team.
Yeah, thank you, Pratik. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to start the demo here from the lens of RevOps and sales in terms of how you can really use revenue intelligence at the top of the funnel and as you're executing the cycle from a sales forecasting perspective. We're then going to show you how this translates into getting better insights into your account performance or trying to get more out of your existing accounts and new logos. And then finally, how this will transition over to a finance persona where they're trying to understand the overall forecast. And that's where we're able to see what's in my backlog with Ayara's RevRec. We can now start seeing for any open opportunities and closed opportunities, what's the recognized revenue using 606, if that's applicable, and then give you that overall picture of the revenue forecast. So what we're seeing here is the persona being RevOps or sales leadership. I've logged into our opportunity management section here. As Andy, I can see the roll-up of my team. And once I get into each of the team members, we're going to basically get into a certain role in the hierarchy and start understanding how is Amelia's forecast. And within Amelia, we're going to focus on a rep called Christina, who's going to be our demo persona. So as we look at Christina, we see she has a gap of $800,000 to quota. We're going to jump into Christina's forecast here. And what you'll see here, revenue intelligence at play, is our system is able to capture the snapshot of Christina's pipeline on a week-on-week basis, which you can see here starting off on July 2nd. And as you can see, when we started the quarter, we had pretty much everything in best case and a little bit in pipeline. And as the weeks go by, we see more of that, going into commit and close one deals. So at a snapshot, whether you're logged in as Christina or Christina's manager or sales ops, you're able to get a view of how Christina's pipeline is moving through the quarter. We can also see certain things like what is the AI saying. So our big task here is how do we triangulate what Christina thinks she's going to close, what the manager thinks they're going to close for Christina, and then finally a view of where we think AI is saying this rep is going to close. So what you can see here is we have a layer of AI which says we think Christina today is going to close 8.1 million. We can see her quota is 8, so we're going to be close to the quota. We also have the ability for her manager to layer on where they think she will be, and they're right at 8 million here. Now, in addition to looking at the overall pipeline, understanding what's the left to get coverage, how is her forecast change week over week, we're also able to go into and inspect these deals. So what you are seeing here is all the deals that Christina has. We see she has closed a couple of opportunities. And then as we look at this account, we see there's a distributed hybrid multi-cloud deal. Let's see how Christina is doing on this deal. So the first thing we show you is the trending of our AI insights and the AI score. And what we are now showing you is why we think this deal is about to close. So this is where we are the only platform that's also able to get some external insights. Most of the AI around revenue intelligence has been predominantly around looking at the internal data points, looking at the past historical data, and coming up with the AI model. What we've also done is we've brought in this concept of intent into our algorithms. So what we are doing effectively is we have a listener in the marketplace that is tracking your clients' history of what they're searching for as it relates to your products. And one of the insights you can see here is we've identified a surge in the topic related to this product, which is our cloud platform, Intelligent Cloud. And we're also able to say that the level of engagement, which I'll show you in a second, is very high. So the client is engaged with us, which is great. They're talking to us. The deal is moving forward well. We can do an external validation, which is where we are saying the client is actually searching for a solution in this area that fits up with our product. And then we're also looking at some of the insights of how many days has this opportunity spent, and is this within the range of what it really takes for similar deals to close. We're also able to find out the personal attribute of this rep. Usually his win ratio is high, and that's a good sign. So once we've studied the signals of this, we are also able to do a couple of other things. What we're going to see here is the first data point is we've got an external data point. We can see that the client is looking for a solution. The next thing we would like to understand is how are we engaging with the customer, right? And traditionally in the CRM, you don't get to know the level of engagement. The good news here is we have also got that here in the sense that you can go to any time period. I'm going to select from July 1st, and I'm going to start seeing my level of engagement. What our AI is able to do here is, without the rep doing anything manually, we're able to look at their email interaction, their calls, and the history of all the people on this opportunity, and we're able to calculate a level of engagement. So as we look at the level of engagement, we've seen there's a steady increase in the level of engagement, which is what we're looking at. And we also benchmark how is this compared to all the other deals in the organization. So it looks like they're in the top percentile of 85%. Now from here, what I'd like to see is, okay, when we think of the engagement level, what are some of the trends of engagement? So we can see that historically, this deal started all the way in December, was a little bit of a lull, but now we've picked up the activity. And more importantly, as a manager or RevOps, you're like, what has happened this week? So we're also able to show you on a weekly timeline, what are the interactions that have been captured with people on this opportunity, all of this without anybody having to do any manual data entry. Behind the scenes, our AI will go talk to anything that's attached to Salesforce, marketing campaigns, their emails to see how many emails they've logged, what meetings have they had, what calls have we had with the people on this opportunity. Now, so that's giving us a really good view, saying we're doing well, this opportunity is about to close, we are talking to the right decision makers. The next thing we want to understand is, does the rep really have a path to get to the decision maker? And that's where we have our influence path. And what you'll see with the influence path here is the ability to draw various lines of people on the opportunity and construct a couple of paths here. So our software will automatically construct based on who's the decision maker for the opportunity, what we call a direct path, right? So who's reporting to Scott, and in this case, Panos, and we can see that Panos is our primary point of contact who's going to take us to the decision maker, Scott. Now, if things don't work out well and Panos doesn't have the authority or is not willing to move us forward, the good news is we've identified two other paths. So we have a good relationship, as you can see, with Kevin, who's the CTO. That can be alternate introduction path if we hit a roadblock with Panos. The other thing we can also do is work our network and see that Eric is an influencer to Scott, and we can also use that channel to really get to Scott if we're not able to make any headway. So this is really giving a RevOps or a sales leader a good path to say that everything on the opportunity is looking good. We're able to close the deal. We know there's a high engagement with the customer, and we've really mapped a path to get to the decision maker. So with those opportunity insights, we're ready to close this deal. However, we've actually seen that in this example, Christina has a gap of $800,000 to quota. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to help her identify where can she mine her existing accounts and get some insights again from next quarter, which will help her understand where there is opportunity to sell more of our product. So we'll go to this UC1 account, and I've already opened our white space module here. And what you can see here is we have, in this example, the company has a lot of products and solutions to sell. Again, what we've done here is we've taken which are the key solutions applying our AI in terms of what has the highest propensity in terms of the next best product to sell. And here we have an upsell motion as well as cross-sell. In the interest of time, I'm going to show you the cross-sell. What we are seeing here is our AI has identified that there are a couple of offerings here where we see external intent. The client hasn't told us they're looking for these solutions, but we are being proactive. And we can see business process management has a score of 100. RPA has a score of 76. And you may ask me, look, how are you really coming up with, this scoring? So what we are doing here is we're able to create client-specific cohorts. So when we implement our product, we'll say, okay, what are the like customers for this account? So what we can do here is we can see companies, customers across the company. We can see other customers in this industry, and we can also see customers in the region. So let's picture that we're selling to a large retail company that is in Americas. What we're able to do here is get those 3 dimensions, and we are using our engine to look at data of what have we done for similar customers, and adding to that these external insights again. So we've been able to map all your products with search terms that reflect a search for this product. And in this example, we can see this client is searching for business process management, digital transformation, and maybe they're looking at 2 of our competitors. And this is an insight that your reps may or may not have, because the customer is not always telling you what they're looking for. So when we think of our weightage here, half the weightage is towards these intent topics, which shows there is a surge in this particular topics related to our product. And then we're also able to add on, are we selling deals of this size to similar clients in the industry? Is this a big enough TCV for us? So this is benchmarking all the close won deals. And you can now see what is the TCV won, what's the average days it takes to close, what's our win ratio, how many deals we won. Again, the rep today has no clue about all of this. In a lot of cases, that is going to be provided as a management report. This is working in real time. We're ingesting intent. We're ingesting historically any wins. So today, if we close a big deal, that's going to be automatically added to the algorithm. So this gives them enough guidance to say, hey, this is something where I think I could create an opportunity that may close. So we have our workflow of adding a recommendation idea. And then once the recommendation idea is added, we're still not ready to convert this into an opportunity. We're saying there's a high likelihood that we could convert this to an opportunity. And that's where, again, next quarter is giving you, we've identified that Kevin is our decision maker. We're in the biz apps group, and business process management is the idea we've created for $800,000. What we can now see is next quarter will automatically recommend some guided action. So what are the efforts that I need to do to create and convert this from a white space idea to an opportunity? Once these tasks have been completed, we simply ask the rep to hit on this convert to opportunity button, which will automatically convert this to an opportunity. And the great thing is at the end of the year or any time period, from within this workflow, you're able to see how many open ideas were generated through our software, how many have been converted to opportunities, and how many have we won, giving you the ROI on the solution. So this is how we're now moving from intuition and gut to a data-driven decision-making using revenue intelligence as it relates to your opportunity forecasting, as it relates to your account management. The third piece which will happen now is, let's say the opportunity we were looking at earlier has now gone to a quote stage. This is where Ayara is going to do the revenue recognition on the quote. They're going to write it back to the opportunity. And our software is now going to traverse to what I call a finance and view, where what we are able to do now is we're able to see across this retail client UC1, what is really our revenue. And when I say revenue now, this is not the bookings. This is what revenue am I going to realize based on revenue recognition rules. So what we are able to see here is for this account, what is our total plan prior year revenue, what's our commit and best case, and then within that, what's our backlog in the various stages of the opportunity. If I drill down here, this is where Ayara and NextQuarter integrate. So you can see here, I have revenue across 4 quarters, the total revenue. We can integrate with the ERP system, get the booked actuals. So in this example, we have actuals for Q1. And then for all the baseline opportunities or backlog, revenue from backlog, we now have, thanks to Ayara, the revenue recognized on each of the revenue contracts that we will integrate as the forecast for every quarter. And then revenue from future sales, this is where we're integrating with our opportunity insights. With the opportunity scoring we showed you, we're able to apply the recognized revenue again on the deal from an Ayara quote and get you this view of revenue from future sales. And with all of this data, you can get into an account level or different accounts. And then through our analytics, which it could be on Einstein or Tableau or any other analytics, we're able to give a real-time view. So the persona here is FP&A or CFO. They're logging in the morning and they get a real-time view of the revenue. Not only what's your revenue for a month, for the quarter, for the next quarter and the full year. And you can see there's a comparison to your prior forecast, to the budget, prior year and the current forecast. And this is typically what you see on your earnings call, where you're able to see all those dimensions. And then more importantly, what's our comparison to different cohorts. So if this is comparing, how I did versus my prior forecast, I can change that view to budget or prior year. In this example, we can see we're doing well versus the prior forecast, but we're really lacking from a year perspective. And then this goes down into the details of where the variance is coming from. So this is, again, with this, we have different dashboards. We have the what if analysis. In the interest of time, I'm going to pass it back to Satish to give us a storyline on how we can now at the quote level do revenue recognition that is, again, incorporated into the revenue forecast here. Over to you, Satish.
Thanks, Rahul. So this is where Ayara would take over from NextQuarter, taking that opportunity and then converting into a quote, right? We have taken Conga as an example here. Conga CPQ, it could be Oracle CPQ, it could be Salesforce CPQ. Any of the CPQs, the experience would be the same, right? So now once you have got a quote here, typically any of the CPQ system shows all the lines of the quote here. You've got a few products, product A, which is a subscription, and also a service, product, and product B, product C, and product D. And these are the list items, and then their respective code details. But what typically a CPQ system won't give you is, what is my margin on this code? What is my allocated margin based upon 606 rules? And finally, how I'm doing an overall deal, right? This is where Ayara would come into picture. We have seamlessly integrated with all the Salesforce and Conga CPQs. Once you hit the quote sync button, what the system would do is it will invoke the Ayara engine, right? It will calculate all the revenue numbers for this particular quote and then write back onto this code. Now, this is all the Ayara functionality. Now, when I click this revenue analysis for this quote, we will show you these are all the Ayara functionality native to Salesforce. By product, what is your revenue? What is your allocated revenue, margin, discounts, gross margin, and other details. The same thing we would also do by subscription. So we are summarizing at a product level and at a subscription level for this particular quote. Now I can drill down into this and show me the details of what is my allocation and revenue amounts here, right? When I go into the quote details tab here, again, these all are Ayara functionality where for each of the quote lines, what you have taken from this quote, we will show you what is line amount, what is allocated price, what is the total cost. Cost, again, we take from the item master, and then we'll show the gross margin, and allocated margin. And these are the key AI insights what we'll be giving, saying that how each of these line is doing on allocation, margin, discount, and overall guidance, right? These are configurable, and also system can apply its AI logic on top of your configuration. Couple of things are yellow here because I put that my threshold margin should be 30%. So it's going way above 30%. So it's giving yellow. That means as a salesperson, it's a flag for me to say, hey, you are going below your margin, your finance might reject this deal. Sometimes, yellow things could also be overridden by finance, so I might be still okay. But if it's in red, definitely it's a red flag for me saying that, hey, I need to look into these lines because I'm not getting the right margin, or discount could be red because I'm giving a deep discount, which is going way above and beyond my allowable discounts and all. Right? This is where it increases your chance of closing your deal faster and also protecting your margins, because the salespeople upfront, without knowing all the details, because this data is based upon persona. We might mask this data for salespeople. Only finance person who is coming into this deal might need to look at it based upon why it's trending yellow or red. I need to approve this, but still they can see this and decide, hey, I might need to modify some numbers on this deal just to get my deal in place with the margins and the discounts and other things, right? And we also give them a lot of charts here just to compare how we are doing on line amount versus allocated amount, and the gross margin based upon transaction price versus revenue and other things, right? In addition to this, we will also give revenue forecast on the quote. Sometimes, the finance people want to see, hey, how my revenue spread is looking. This is a 3-year deal, so how does it spread across, right? And this column which is highlighted here is my current period in the system, and then we'll show the revenue spread so that they can see how it's going to impact their revenue over a period of time, and they might approve the deal, right? And also we'll give the revenue details. If I'm a controller or a CFO coming into Salesforce to look into this, we'll also show them the revenue numbers in one place so that they don't need to go back and forth between Salesforce and Ayara Cloud, right? So if this quote already has got revenue bookings and it's already recognized, then we show how much is recognized, how much is pending, what is the billed amount, and other details here itself, so that they know that entire revenue visibility all the way from code details to revenue forecast to revenue details within one screen. That is the power of Ayara Cloud, where you still have a revenue engine running in the cloud, but you can see all the details on the quote right from forecast, whether you need to really go ahead with this quote and the deal with the customer or not, to all the way of revenue recognition and other details, right? Now, we can also go into Ayara and see this particular revenue contract here, where it will show variety of details for you. What is the total contract value, bookings, what is delivered, what is billed, recognized, and other details. It will also show you the basic contract information on this page and also some charts related to this contract, right? And also you can drill down to the contract details. Here there's only one quote, but if you have multiple quotes for this contract, you can have midterm, upgrade, some cancellations, some modifications and all. It shows all the quotes that have contributed to this contract, and also the final lines that have this amount and what is being booked, what is being recognized and all for this particular contract. And in the next tab, we are showing all the allocations for each of these lines in the products. What is actually the unit price, selling price, discount, what is the allocation and all, revenue allocation and other details here, right? Now, the bookings is the one where we are taking this particular order for that code from Conga. Whatever is your order booking system, we can take the bookings from there and create the revenue contracts and link up everything to your revenue contract so that you know what are the quotes that are created for this, what are the sales orders that are booked for this contract, and show all the booking details here. Then we can go to the revenue that's actually recognized for this particular contract for each of the line. These are the details what we are writing back onto the quote here, if you look at on the revenue details, so that you get the same details here without leaving Salesforce. Or if you are a finance user and working within Ayara itself, you can still come and see all your revenue details within this screen here, right? You've got all the details. These are again flexible, configurable. You can change the columns, remove the columns, add columns. And there are a lot of other details, you can control the user experience based upon what you want to see and based upon the user profile, who you are, right? We'll also show you the gross margin here for each of those products, right? Then we'll also show you the same forecasting details again. If you look at forecasting tab here in Salesforce, it seamlessly updates in a near real time between the quote and the revenue contract, so that if you are predominantly a Salesforce user working with the Salesforce application, you can still get all the details within Salesforce. Or if you're a finance user who never uses or very rarely uses Salesforce, you can still see all those details in Ayara. In that way, the user experience is controlled based upon the persona, and also the sort of data access what they have either in Salesforce or Ayara, right? And we finally have the forecast analysis by quarter. You can do it by month, and what is actual, what is forecasted and all. And also you can trigger approvals from here, or Ayara can work natively with the approvals on Salesforce too, so that based upon some of this flags, what you're seeing on our revenue guardrails for margins, discounts and all, if some things are in red, that can trigger, your workflow approval for respective users within finance, sales ops, whatever the team they need to approve from, we can trigger those. So we have got a lot of flexibility here. The key thing is the solution and the value what we bring to the customers, end-to-end revenue management, all the way from opportunity to revenue recognition. And users can pick and choose which experience they want to have in Salesforce or Ayara or both combined, and what is their workflow system, where they can approve from and other things. Right? So that's how we do an end-to-end revenue management, all the way from account planning, opportunity forecast with NextQuarter, and then from quote all the way to contract, revenue recognition, and integration with ERP to post accounting entries into GL with Ayara. That's at a very high level, the solution what we have. There are a lot of other things, you have got SSP rules that you can configure. You have got a lot of grouping rules for, orders, and then, cost rules and other things too. How do you, do your POB mappings and other things too. There's a lot of functionality here and flexibility in Ayara that you can control, but this is at a very high level what we want to show from end to end. Over to you, Pratik.
Thank you, Satish. Team, we have around 10 minutes left. I have one question that I got from the audience, but I would love for others to also chime in. Feel free to either type it or come on camera. But I think this is probably more for Satish, but Rahul, feel free to chime in. But Satish, I know you worked at companies like Aptis and Zora, but what about consumption businesses, especially AI companies that are getting funded today? They are adopting consumption. So how does this revenue intelligence and the culture of revenue impact consumption-based businesses? If you can share some insights, that'll be awesome. And then Rahul, feel free to chime in too.
Yeah, that's a great question, Pratik. That's where most of the customers traditionally, when I was working with Congas or another companies, customers were always thinking that we couldn't forecast for consumption because, upfront you don't know how much they used to consume or they can consume, first thing. And second thing is, it's really tough to find the patterns in the consumption based upon customer evolving business and their current needs today, right?
Yes.
Thanks to AI with all this latest and greatest algorithms available, and also compute getting cheaper, right? It's possible now, including at Ayara, and NextQuarter also is doing the same thing, where we can take the past usage data, consumption data, and predict what could be the consumption for the customers. And someone might ask us, hey, what happens if the customer is new? Even in that case, we know what type of customer is a high-tech customer in West Coast of US, typical customer profile of this size and shape has this sort of consumption. So now what helps is, based upon that data, they can size the deal for the customer, telling that, hey, our experience shows that the usage tier, what you're subscribing would be too less, and you end up paying a lot of over usage fees. So you take this tier, which will protect your usage for next 1 year, and based upon that, you can increase or decrease, right? That sort of insights are possible now, which was not possible before. And we are confident with Ayara, based upon our quote level intelligence, right? We can do that sort of recommendation, the pricing, and NextQuarter can also do that ahead of time on the opportunity too. Maybe Rahul, you want to add something there?
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think the beauty of our AI model on the opportunities, we can add external data sets, like you said, with the consumption pattern. So we can now see like, this opportunity has been overpriced, or, this is not the consumption the client is typically looking for in this industry, and benchmark that and work with Ayara's RevRec to understand what's the right level at which you want to probably price the customer from a tier perspective.
Thank you.
I also see one more question.
Yes, from
in
Michael.
the chat, right?
Go ahead, Satish.
Michael, for your question, right? Yes, Ayara has the model to recognize for service-based, offerings. We have a percentage-based revenue recognition, event-based revenue recognition, which is also a milestone-based recognition. Based upon service, if you want to bill your customer based upon a milestone, we can integrate with any of the PSA system and take the milestone triggers to recognize revenue for that. And in fact, NextQuarter also has got that PSA specific opportunity forecasting and other things too on the metrics, right? And also on the percentage complete, if you choose not to do with the milestone, you want to do for services, if you have a large construction project or other things where typically it is built based upon the percentage complete, we do even support percentage complete based upon, you update the percentage complete on the project and trigger revenue trigger to Ayara. Ayara can capture the triggers and recognize based upon the percentage complete for that. So there is any other models, like consumption, usage and all, we have a very specific revenue recognition for that, use it or lose it, or based upon overages, what you charge for the usage. This page is definitely getting interesting with all the latest business process innovations. So we support almost all of them with a flexible framework what we have.
Yeah, and one data point, team member is Ayara has been recognized and approved by the legacy Aptis Conga team. In fact, Satish led the product team that built the revenue product at Aptis. So it has all those features plus the additional ones, especially I think Brian had some questions. We'll probably have to do a separate meeting on these, but go ahead, Satish. I think this is also
again, there's one more question. There's one more question. Yeah. So this is where it's get interesting, right? The question I read for others. Can you handle the split revenue policies where percentage of the line amount is immediate and the rest of is ratable over a period of time? I did had this surprise when, as Pratik was telling one of the customers, I don't want to take a name here, but I was surprised. Oh, do you want to do that really? They said, yes, we want to do that. Definitely it's possible. And that's where they said that, hey, I've got a proof that I can take 40% immediate and 60% can be ratable for my subscription, right? So that's when where we have put a split policy. In fact, not just 2, you can split 3 or 4 if you want to. But typically 2 is what most of the customers have seen doing it, where if I've got $100 on a subscription, I can do 30-70, 30% I want to do immediate when I activate the subscription, and 70% I can do over the period of subscription. Absolutely, I can handle that. That's one of the simplest revenue split policies we can have.
Yeah. And Brian and Michael, to your point, we are happy to kind of show this as a proof of concept or use case, because we're also working with a couple of legacy Aptis RevRec clients that essentially have asked for some of these. So yeah, we can absolutely discuss this. But good questions, team. Yeah. I know we have a few minutes left. Any other questions on either account planning or revenue recognition and somewhere in between? Anything else? If not, I have one question that I got from the audience, but I'll let the team chime in. All right. I think in terms of Gen AI, and I think this is both relevant for Rahul and Satish, as you are building a roadmap and you're talking with clients, where are those generative AI use cases you're planning to introduce in your client features? Yeah.
I can take a stab at it, maybe Rahul add
Sure.
it as
Sure.
required. So for Ayara, we have a lot of things coming up on AI, not just Gen AI. Gen AI is the end goal, right? There's a lot of building blocks we need to build for AI capabilities. One is,
Yep.
Our LSTM-based revenue forecasting. Typically, the time series-based forecasting methodology is where most of the algorithms use, but we are doing LSTM neural network-based revenue forecasting. That gives a lot of flexibility, having the seasonalities and other unknowns handled in LSTM. And second thing is, we're also having unstructured data processing where you might have PDF revenue contracts, any other unstructured data that we can train the models within the application, extract the tokens, and build that foundational data layer on AI, so that you can process unstructured data, you can predict with LSTM type of models and other stuff. Now, on top of all these things, our end goal would be to have a simple prompt on Ayara saying that, show me top 5 revenue contracts that are at risk for this quarter or for this month. If I am a controller at a month end, that would give me top 5, boom. I don't need to really run a report or query something like that, right? It's still in works. We are working, but we are building a lot of foundational capabilities with AI that would enable these sort of functionalities sometime next year in Ayara.
Yeah, and then from a next quarter perspective, from a sales side, definitely getting account insights, having a query where we can use Gen AI to provide some of those insights on a real-time basis is an area that is in our roadmap, and we've started some work. And then from a finance perspective, I think it's going to be game-changing to do more of your analysis and have Gen AI pull out your top 5 variances or give it very specific instructions on finding out where you can optimize your cost. So those are some of the use cases on the sales and finance side that we are working on.
That's great, Rahul, Satish, and our audience. Really appreciate everyone's time. I think we had a really large group, very interesting questions. We'll make the recording available in the next couple of days. We will also reach out to some of you who have some follow-up questions. And specifically, both me, Rahul, and Satish, we are your resources. We've had tons of experience in implementing similar solutions, both from a SI perspective, Rahul as a CFO, and obviously Satish as a product leader. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. And finally, anyone coming in person to Dreamforce, all 3 of us are hosting a happy hour on Tuesday at Amber, India. The details are also there on the webinar page. So we will hope to see some of you there in person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.